Paralyzed deaf girl signed, "Please help me." What the single dad did next left everyone in tears. The December wind cut through downtown Boston like a knife, swirling snow into small tornadoes on the empty sidewalks. Most people had rushed home hours ago, escaping the storm that meteorologists had been warning about all week. But Emma Richardson sat in her wheelchair outside Belmore's bakery, her breath forming small clouds in the frigid air. She'd been there for 20 minutes, watching the warm glow from inside the shop, studying the family gathered at a corner table. A father and his 3 young daughters, laughing over hot chocolate and pastries. The youngest couldn't have been more than 4, chocolate smeared across her cheeks. Emma smiled despite the cold seeping through her coat. She didn't mean to stare. She never meant to. But sometimes the loneliness became so heavy that watching other people's happiness was the only thing that made her feel connected to the world. Emma had been deaf since birth and paralyzed from the waist down for 2 years, a car accident that had taken her mobility and, in the aftermath, her fiancé and most of her friends. People didn't know how to handle tragedy. They sent flowers and sympathy for a few weeks, then slowly disappeared, leaving behind only silence. For Emma, who lived in silence every day, this was the deepest kind of loneliness. She was about to wheel herself toward the bus stop when she noticed the father looking at her through the glass. Their eyes met. Emma quickly looked away, embarrassed to be caught watching. But when she glanced back, he was standing, saying something to his daughters. Then he was at the door, pushing it open, cold air rushing in around him. He was tall, maybe late 30s, with kind eyes and the tired expression of a single parent. He stepped outside, letting the door close behind him, and approached her carefully. Emma's heart raced. Was he angry? Did he think she was threatening somehow? But then he began to sign. "Are you okay?" His hands asked, moving with practiced fluency. "You look cold." Emma's eyes widened in shock. She hadn't met someone who could sign in, she couldn't remember how long. "I'm fine," she signed back, though her trembling hands betrayed her. "Just waiting for the bus." He glanced down the street at the empty bus stop, then back at her. "The buses stopped running 20 minutes ago. Storm shut down." Emma's stomach dropped. She'd spent her last cash on coffee earlier, trying to warm up in a different cafe before they'd asked her to leave. Her phone was dead. Her apartment was 40 minutes away on foot, impossible for her now. "I didn't know," she signed, trying to keep the panic from showing on her face. The man studied her for a moment, then made a decision. "Come inside. Please. It's too cold. I don't have money for." "I'm not asking for money," he interrupted gently. "I'm asking you to come inside before you freeze." Something in his eyes, a genuine concern without pity, made Emma nod. He held the door open as she wheeled herself in. The warmth hit her immediately, along with the sweet smell of cinnamon and vanilla. The 3 little girls looked up with curious eyes. "Girls, this is..." He paused, looking at Emma. "Emma," she signed, and he translated. "I'm Marcus," he signed and spoke simultaneously. "These are my daughters, Sophia, Lily, and Grace." The youngest, Grace, waved enthusiastically. Lily, maybe 7, stared with the unfiltered curiosity of children. But Sophia, the oldest at perhaps 9, began to sign. "Hi, Emma. Do you want hot chocolate?" Emma felt tears prick her eyes. "You all sign." Marcus pulled up a chair, gesturing for Emma to join their table. "My late wife was deaf. We taught the girls from birth. It was important to her that they grow up bilingual." "Late wife." Emma signed gently. "Cancer. 14 months ago." The pain flickered across his face, then settled into something like acceptance. "We're learning to be okay again. Some days are harder than others." "I understand," Emma signed. "I lost my fiancé too. Different way." He left after my accident. Said he couldn't handle it. Marcus's expression hardened slightly. Then he didn't deserve you. They sat together as the storm raged outside. Marcus bought Emma dinner, a warm sandwich and soup, and the girls drew pictures on napkins, occasionally signing questions. Where did she live? Did she like their drawings? Why was she in a wheelchair? Marcus gently corrected them about the last question, but Emma smiled. It's okay. I don't mind. She explained about the accident, keeping it simple for the children. They listened with wide eyes, then Grace climbed into Emma's lap and hugged her. As the evening wore on, Emma learned their story. Marcus was a social worker who specialized in foster care. His wife, Catherine, had been a teacher at a school for the deaf. After she died, he'd thrown himself into his work and raising his daughters, but the holidays were particularly hard. Tonight had been their attempt at making new traditions, a girls' night out, for dinner before decorating their Christmas tree. You should come with us, Sophia signed suddenly. What? Emma signed. To decorate our tree. Mommy always said Christmas was about making sure no one was alone. Marcus looked surprised, but then thoughtful. He turned to Emma. She's right. Catherine would have insisted. And honestly, the girls could use another perspective. They were about to make me put 12 different star toppers on the tree. Emma laughed, a sound she'd almost forgotten she could make. I couldn't impose. You're not imposing if we're inviting you, Lily signed matter-of-factly. And so, somehow, Emma found herself in Marcus's warm SUV, her wheelchair folded in the back, driving through the snowy streets to a modest house in a quiet neighborhood. Inside, it was chaos, the beautiful chaos of a home filled with children. Coats and boots scattered by the door, artwork covering the refrigerator, and in the living room, a tall pine tree waiting to be decorated. They spent the next 3 hours transforming that tree. The girls insisted Emma direct operations from her wheelchair, signing instructions about where each ornament should go. Marcus made hot apple cider. They sang Christmas carols, Marcus signing the words so Emma could follow along, teaching her the signs she didn't know. At one point, while the girls were in the kitchen getting cookies, Marcus sat beside Emma. Can I tell you something? He signed. Emma nodded. I've been so focused on being strong for them that I forgot how to accept help myself. How to let people in. Tonight reminded me that Catherine wouldn't want us to close ourselves off. He paused. You gave us a gift tonight, Emma. More than you know. You saved me, Emma signed back. Literally. But also. She struggled to find the words. I've been so alone. I'd forgotten what it felt like to be part of something. To feel human. You're not alone anymore, Marcus signed. If you don't want to be. It wasn't a romantic declaration, it was too soon for both of them, their wounds too fresh. But it was a promise of friendship, of connection, of a lifeline thrown between two people drowning in their own grief. When the tree was finally decorated, yes, with 3 different star toppers because they couldn't choose, Grace fell asleep on the couch, her small hand wrapped around Emma's. Lily and Sophia showed Emma their mother's photo albums, sharing stories about a woman who sounded remarkable. Near midnight, Marcus called a cab for Emma, but not before getting her phone number. The girls would never forgive me if we didn't see you again. We're making gingerbread houses next weekend. Fair warning, it gets competitive. Emma smiled. I'm in. As the cab pulled away, Emma looked back at the house, now glowing with Christmas lights. Through the window, she could see Marcus and his daughters waving goodbye. For the first time in 2 years, Emma felt something shift inside her chest. Hope. Small and fragile, but undeniably there. She'd gone to that bakery tonight convinced she was invisible, forgotten by a world that had moved on without her. But Marcus and his daughters had seen her. Really seen her. They'd reminded her that disability didn't make her less human, That silence didn't mean she had nothing to say, that loss didn't mean she had nothing left to give. Sometimes God, or fate, or the universe, or whatever force guides our lives, puts people in our path exactly when we need them most. That night, on a snowy street in Boston, two broken families found each other. And in finding each other, they began to heal. Emma still kept that first napkin drawing from Grace, a stick figure in a wheelchair with a crown and the words, Princess Emma, written in crayon. It sat on her refrigerator for years to come, a reminder that sometimes the darkest moments lead us to the light. And that the strongest walls we build around our hearts can be broken down by the simplest act, someone opening a door and asking, "Are you okay?" In our rush through life, we often walk past people who are hurting, assuming someone else will help or that our small gesture won't matter. But Marcus taught us that kindness costs nothing. A moment of attention, a simple question, an open door, these tiny acts can save a life. We're all just looking for someone to see us, to remind us we're not invisible. Perhaps the real miracle isn't what we receive, but what we give to others, and in giving, what we give back to ourselves.